Because it's not here. I'm just going to start because it's Christmas. Okay, so once you're ready, please turn on your webcam, thanks. Okay, so that I can start and end, hopefully earlier today. Yeah, I believe all of you want an earlier dismissal, yeah? Okay, so... Hey, great, thanks. Hey, Merry Christmas, everyone. Merry Christmas. Thanks for having me on a Christmas day. It's kind of... yeah, for those who are feeling a bit adventurous, okay, if you like, you can play around with your own virtual camera, okay? Okay, lighten today's mode to be a Christmas setting, if you like. Okay, only if you like. Yeah, you don't need to go extreme to be like Mr. Teo. Alright, so today I will play the role of a Santa Claus. Actually, I tried. I don't know whether y'all can see. This is an actual prop. Yeah, but my virtual camera is preventing this actual prop from reflecting. That's why I have to use I have to use another virtual camera to have this setting. But anyway, I hope you guys like that. Alright, so Ashley, please sit closer to the webcam, okay, so that I can see your face. If not, tilt the camera downwards, thank you. Alright, so I would just like to have two quick announcements. Alright, the first one is mock exam. Okay, so mock exam is next Tuesday. Alright, so I have shared the link on the group chat. Right, okay, so at the moment I only have the sign up that I have is quite pathetic, I would say. So I'll just give the mock exam another push. Okay, please sign up. Okay, I have mentioned to you guys the consequences of not signing up for the mock exam. Okay, so I will make sure that your AYE promise, okay, will be rendered void. Okay, please don't come back next year and tell Mr. Teo I'd like to repeat with you. Okay, I'm not going to entertain that. Okay, so mock exams. Okay, please sign up. Okay, by the end of the day, if you haven't, like I've said, it's optional. Okay, but okay, only if you like. Okay, and if you want to make further progress for your econs, please sign up for the mock exam. Alright, so the next announcement is next Friday there will be no class. Okay, for the Friday participants, okay, come for the Saturday. Yeah, I do know some of you all signed up already. This message is meant for those who haven't signed up. Okay, so for those who haven't signed up for the mock exam, okay, please utilize the link on the group chat and quickly book. Okay, so the second announcement is next Friday, New Year Eve, there is no class. Okay, so classes will be held on New Year itself. Okay, 2 to 4. Same timing, same channel, same place. Ashley, can you sit closer to the camera? Okay, thanks. Alright, so with that, okay, I will need your help, okay, to turn off your WhatsApp. Okay, everyone, please turn off your WhatsApp, okay, and enlarge my screen. Okay, so with that, okay, we are going to commence today's lesson. Today's lesson is okay, I hope today we can end by 3:30-ish, 3:45. I don't know, right? But is anyone against this idea of ending early? You can PM me. But every time I aim to end early, but I always end on time. So today, let's see how. Okay, but I really hope we can end earlier, so all of us can have a great Christmas. All right. So with that, okay, let's look at lesson 5. Okay, please let me know if you are seeing the same question. All right, it should be the market on olive oil. Olive oil. Okay, so please indicate on the chat function whether you are seeing the same thing. Thanks. Thanks, olive oil. Hey, Elijah, thanks. Zach, thanks. Who else? Okay, so today, depending on how your performance is, okay, this center can be either very, very generous or very nasty. Okay, so I can assure you today's lesson is not difficult. Okay, but okay, there's a lot of recapping to be done. Okay, so it's a pretty good summary of what we have covered for the first 4 lessons. Alright, so today our practice question, okay, would be, okay, please circle this. Okay, question A1 and A2. Okay, question C1 and C2. Okay. So these are all short answer questions. Okay, but I'm still going to give you 15 minutes to do an outline. Okay, regardless of the length of the question. So please deliver a good outline and please submit your outline. For those who don't have an outline, okay, I will not mark your script. Okay, you'll be awarded 0. Yeah, so I still have students who are not submitting your script properly. Okay, so submit together with the outline. Okay, so A1, A2, C1, C2. Okay, your outline starts now, 207. Okay, we should end at 222, right? Okay, and then we will discuss your outline together. Right, you have 3 more minutes. Okay, 1 last minute. Please quickly wrap up. Alright, great, thanks. Okay, once you're ready, please turn on your webcam. Thank you. Okay. Alright, so today's activity is actually really not that difficult. Like I've mentioned earlier on, okay, it is actually a recap of what we have learned for the past 4 lessons. Alright, so today, okay, the 4 questions I've tasked you are perfectly doable. So you should be aiming about, okay, probably 15 marks and above upon 18, which is perfectly doable. Okay, that's provided if you revise. Alright, so later on I need you to follow what we have discussed strictly. Okay, and try not to deviate. Try not to deviate. Okay, I'll provide you with the framework and everything. Okay, so today will be a good litmus test of how you have been coping in the program. Okay, and if you realize from your student record that you have been getting all rates, all the rate grades, then it's probably a good wake up call in preparation for your mock exam next week. Alright, so please study for a mock exam as well. In case for those students who are asking me, or if I forgot to mention the topics, okay, so it will be demand and supply, okay, and market failure. Okay, for H2 students, I won't be testing firms and decisions. So these are the only big 2 topics tested. Alright, so sorry for digressing. Okay, I will move straight to the question analysis part. So make sure you submit the outline together. Alright, so I'll probably get some of you to unmute, okay, to share with us their approach to these few questions. Probably I'll get Elijah. Elijah, can you unmute yourself? Okay, and share with me. Okay, A1. Okay, how would you address the first question?
Just first state the general trend from 2001 to 2010.
All right.
Then after I get into the details of rise and fall of what year.
Okay.
Like say like increase from 2001 to 2005, give the exact like data.
Okay. So now,
Yeah.
let's go through step by step. So the first point that you mentioned was the general trend, right? So what do we observe about the general trend?
There's an increase from 2001 to 2010.
Right. Okay. So in case I wasn't clear about general trend based question, okay, make sure you have these few things in mind. Okay. So for general trend, okay, make sure you illustrate, you get rid of the trend word. Okay. Please do not include trend in your question. Okay. So you will want to tell the examiner that the world olive price oil is generally increasing or decreasing. Okay, so especially some of the schools here, okay, I believe is it Anglo-Chinese or some of the other schools, okay, they are particularly concerned about, okay, an ongoing tense here. Okay, some of the schools you can get away with a past tense, generally increase. Okay, but some of the schools they are particularly concerned about generally increasing. Okay, so you can choose generally increasing or decreasing. Okay, so also decreasing also accepted. Okay, you just pick one. Make sure you get rid of the trend. Is everyone clear? Okay, so I do not want to see anyone including the trend in the answer. All right, so Elijah, move on to the second part. Okay, what is the second point that we are supposed to look out for?
Like get to the detail of like from what year is increase, from what year is a decrease.
Okay, so this is the part that you guys got to be concerned about. All right, and this is probably Elijah, you got to be a little bit more careful. Maybe I'll get Natalie. Okay, Natalie, okay, how would you approach the second part? Quickly.
That there was a much steeper increase from 2001 to 2005, but then it started to decrease from 2005 to 2010.
All right. So there are two things that you want to look out for, okay, if you want to identify the second mark. Okay, this is what we call an anomaly. Okay, so it's kind of related to what Elijah has mentioned about getting into detail. So what kind of details you want to look out for? Okay, we want to look out for an anomaly. So what constitutes to an anomaly? Listen carefully. Okay, so an anomaly, we are looking out for these two R's. Okay, we're looking out for rate of change or a reversal. Okay, we do not want to paraphrase or tell the examiner that it's increasing from 01 to 05, then it decreased from 05 to 08, then increase back from 08 to 1. This is not something that we want to do. Don't repeat. Okay, anytime you realize that you are using the data, okay, without thinking or merely citing data, okay, you will get 0 straight away. Right, so for the second mark, there's only these two strict criteria. Okay, you're going to look out for a rate of change or reversal. So reversal is exceptionally easy. Okay, so long as you can identify the general trend. Okay, so the general trend earlier on, we identified that it's generally increasing, right? Okay, so it's not really clear. Okay, so all you need to is just to stick, okay, the first year and the last year together. Okay, we can actually draw a straight line attaching these 2 points. Okay, you can see it's generally positively sloped. Then this will be generally increasing. Okay, so the reversal, okay, you have to state the opposite, right? So which year did you observe a fall in price? Okay, then you state the time range of the state the time period, okay, of a fall in price or a reversal of the general trend. Okay, the other R to look out for is what we call rate of change. Okay, so rate of change, okay, is an attachment to the general trend. So if the general trend is generally increasing, okay, like what just now Natalie has mentioned, okay, you want to establish which year experienced a sharp increase in price. Okay, so the keyword here is sharp increase. Okay, so not all years will satisfy the criteria of sharp increase. So you can see that there's only this time period that's going to be increase in the sharpest. Do you all agree? Okay, the rest, okay, is not as sharp as, okay, between 2002 to 2003. All right. So, okay, there is also another trick for rate of change question. Okay, rate of change question normally involves calculation. Okay, so unless the data is Okay, I would say that this is a 50-50. Okay, you can attempt to calculate, you can pass. Okay, why is that so? Okay, so the telltale sign when to calculate rate of change is when they express all this into detailed figures. So right now you can see that all these are approximation. Okay, so you can attempt to calculate, you can pass that. Okay, sometimes you can get away without calculating. Okay, but if the question gives you the data in raw figures, they give you 4, 6, 2, 1, that kind of thing, then you have to calculate. Alright, so for the fun of that, okay, I would like you guys to try to calculate, okay, what is the rate of change. For the fun of that, approximate. Okay, so we have 2002 is $3,000, right? Is it? And what is the value for 2003? Okay, maybe we say that it is 4,400 or so, something like that, an approximation. So now let's try. Okay, using 4,400 and 3,000. Okay, can you all calculate the rate of change? Okay, and type it in the chat box now, quickly. So like I said, today's questions are all very basic. Okay, but if your foundation is not so good, yeah, like I say, rate of change you have to express in terms of what? Percentage. Alright, so the percentage change that we are supposed to calculate is between 2002 to 2003. Okay, because this is where you experience the sharpest increase. Right, so 2002, I think we got 3,000, the olive oil was $3,000. 2003, the olive oil was $4,400. So we are supposed to calculate the rate of change. So I have a very wide variety of answers. Okay, we have 147%. We have 46.7%. I have 1,400%. So which one is correct? Which one is correct? Calculator. Alright, so okay, please follow me carefully. Okay, you will get 4,400. Okay, minus 3,000. Right, divide by 3,000. Okay, multiply by 100. Okay, this will be your percentage change. Got it? Alright, so you have to use 4,400 minus 3,000. So this is an approximation. So like I've said, some of the questions, okay, like this, okay, you can get away without calculating. Okay, because it's by approximate. So sometimes you can just get away by saying there's a sharp increase. Okay, but when when you're provided with exact figures, then you can't get away. Okay, you must use that. Okay, so for those who stated 46.7, 47, I would say okay. Let's standardize. Okay, I think 3SF is good, right? Is everyone okay with 3SF? Okay, so for anything else, okay, you probably don't need Mr. Teo here. You need a math tutor. Okay, so with that, okay, I'm going to move on. So I want you all to focus on combinations like this. A1 and A2 questions are combination question. So let's say, okay, if you get A1 wrong, A2 will be off, right? So now how are we going to address A part 2? Okay, so this is 4 marks. So earlier on, okay, we have identified that it's generally increasing. Okay, and for the anomaly, you have 2 different approaches. You can either consider a reversal from 05 to 08 or a sharp increase from 02 to 03. So like I said, A1 and A2 are related. So what you use in A2 is highly related to A1. Okay, so maybe I will get Nas. Okay, how would you approach A part 2?
I use demand and supply factors to explain.
Okay, so maybe you can give an example.
So for example, for the demand, I say that the taste and preferences for olive oil consumers have higher taste and preference for olive oil because it's much more healthier. So with this, there will be a higher demand and higher price for the product.
Okay, what else?
Then the supply, I say that because it has it's like competitive in supply with vegetable oils, so like the supply will be lower than like higher price.
Vegetable oil. Was vegetable oil present in the extract?
The extract one, they say alternative uses of vegetable oils.
Okay. So it's competitive in supply.
Yeah, that's what I say.
You say this is alternate users, isn't it? Users. So what does users tells us? Okay, they are likely to be competitive in demand, right? Okay, it's likely to be vegetable oil and olive oil are used interchangeably. Okay, whatever that you use, okay, I'm not going to restrict what you use. Okay, so Nas gave his approach. Okay, but okay, I want to point out for such question there is a strict format to follow. Like what I've mentioned, okay, it's related to A1. Okay, so the way how you put your answer across must be related to A1. So I do agree with demand and supply framework. Okay, but okay, the way how you put across must be like this. Okay, so you're going to split your marks into 2 marks each. Okay, I'm going to put it like this. 2 marks each. Okay, so the first mark, you're going to identify and explain. Second mark, identify and explain again. So what do we mean by identify and explain? Sometimes you see in our answer key, this is a type 2 answering technique. Alright, so you got to identify like what Nas has mentioned. Okay, demand and supply factors down here. Okay, but the demand and supply factors here, you have to categorize them properly. Okay, so this has to be categorized under the general trend. Okay, this has to be categorized under an anomaly. So earlier on, if you brought up that general price is generally increasing, then you got to use a demand or supply factor from the extract, okay, that supports that general price is generally increasing. Okay, so it should be any of the Egypt or wet pigs factor that we have used. Okay, so try to find from the extract, okay, what are the Egypt or wet pigs factor, okay, that support, okay, an increase in price. So an increase in price can only be satisfied with an increase in demand or fall in supply. Okay, so later on, look out for the extract. Okay, so after identifying the factor, okay, you got to relate it to how it affects demand. So just now someone, Nasri was telling me about taste and preference, right? So where can we find the taste and preference? I think somewhere here you can see the last paragraph about, okay, a better health diet, okay, lower health risks or something like that. Okay, so make sure you state, okay, what is the direction of demand? Okay, it's going to shift to the right. Okay, and this will cause either this is just an example that what Nas has used earlier on. Just now he used a demand factor, I think. Right? So you want to state the direction of demand, okay, which is going to be an increase. Okay, whether it leads to a surplus or shortage, and an upward or downward pressure on price. Okay, so in a nutshell, okay, this is a simplified, okay, PAP. Okay, PAP is not, okay, the government party. Okay, it's a price adjustment process. It's a very simplified one. State the direction of the demand or supply, state whether it results in a surplus or shortage, and the upward or downward pressure on price. Okay, is everyone clear about this approach? Especially when you see A1 and A2 based question, they ask you to account for the trend in A1. You have to follow this approach, addressing the general trend and then the anomaly. Right? So the anomaly. So for instance, okay, if you use the, okay, let's play around with the second anomaly. Okay, the second anomaly, is it okay if we use that price has fallen? From 05 to 08, you do see that, right? Okay, so let's say if you have picked this, okay, what do you think is the factor that will cause this? Okay, so in that case, we have to look out for Egypt or web picks factor that supports a fall in demand or an increase in increase in supply. Okay, so you have to cite from the extract. Then you go on to illustrate, okay, using the same approach. Okay, what is the direction? So in this case, okay, we realize that if we are going to use a fall in price, okay, it has to be either a fall in demand or increase in supply. Okay, we can adopt the same approach. Okay, it's going to result in a surplus. Okay, no way it's going to be a shortage. Okay, surplus. Okay, and it's going to exert a downward pressure on price. Okay, so make sure you're able to clearly identify, okay, the factor for the general trend, explaining a simplified price adjustment process for the first factor. Second factor for the anomaly, identify using Egypt or web picks. Likewise, a simplified price adjustment process. Okay, is everyone clear on what to write, exactly what to write? Okay, so there is no scope, okay, for drawing diagram here. Don't waste time draw diagram. The question didn't ask for that. So some of the scripts that are written you, I tell you that you're too naggy, you're too long-winded. Okay, this is an approach that you can consider. Some of the scripts that are written you that mention that, okay, please use a correct framework. Okay, please use the correct terms. Yeah, then in this case, demand and supply framework is not that. Learn to adopt the correct one. Clear so far? Okay, so I've essentially solved the first one for you already. Okay, this is taste and preference. All you need to is just to cite the correct extract. Okay. So with that, any questions for me? Okay, can I move on? Have any questions, please type it out. Okay, so that I can address that. Okay, so I want you guys to look at C1 and C2 together. Okay, while I turn on the lights. Okay, it's a bit dark. Okay, and we'll address them together in a short while. Alright, for C1 and C2, okay, you realize that the phrasing of the words are 90% the same, okay, with the exception of one word, right? Consumption and production of olive oil. So now I'll probably get Dylan. Okay, would you like to, okay, in your own words, okay, or in one sentence, can you tell me what is the key difference between these two?
The different causes that leads to market failure.
All right. So what is the cause of market failure for consumption?
I wrote imperfect information.
Okay.
Then for production, I wrote negative externality.
Okay. So anyone has similar approach? Anyone? Okay. What about Zach? Okay. What do you have?
My approach is actually the same actually.
Same.
Yeah.
So C1 is info failure.
I mean for C1 I wasn't really sure whether it's info failure or negative externality. So
Consumption of olive oil and negative externality. Right. Okay. So okay, so we have quite a lot of varied answers here. Now, C1 and C2, okay, because of one word difference, the approach can be entirely different. Okay, so, okay, let's address the easier one. C part 2, okay, production of olive oil. Okay, do you all have negative externalities of production? Have or not? Okay, so how can we tell it's negative externalities of production? So first of all, we are going to be concerned about whether there are third-party costs, right? That's going to be incurred when you produce olive oil. You realize that these two questions adds up to 12 marks, and this is going to result whether you pass or fail this paper. Okay, so for those who have been inherently weak in adopting the framework, I'm pretty sure I've highlighted and flagged out who you are. Okay, please listen carefully. Ashley, can you sit closer? Thanks. All right. So what are the 6 steps that we want to adopt? Still remember? Maybe Ashley, would you like to try the 6 steps? Okay, since we identify that this is a negative externality of production. Step number 1.
Is it like we define
Okay, so what do we define?
what is negative externality?
Okay, so this is very clearly a production-based externality already, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so do we need to include consumption in the definition?
No.
We don't need to, right? So get rid of the consumption. So till now, I still see people who are careless, right? Whenever it comes to definition, they throw the textbook definition. Okay, so make sure you understand that this is already contextualized. Okay, go straight to the definition for production-based negative externality. Okay, step number 2. Ashley?
Identify MEC equals MEV. I mean, or the MEV. Okay.
Right, Nas? Okay, what is step number 2?
Is it?
Sorry.
Sorry, I was muted.
Yeah, I muted you, but I wanted Nas to try whether he get the same outcome. Nas, quick. What is step number 2?
Explain MEC.
All right. So the second part, okay, is to identify and explain the MEC or the externality. Not P, not private, Okay, so I'm not sure whether I heard actually just now correctly. Probably I heard it wrongly. That's why I got someone else to try again. Okay, identifying the external cause. So where can we find the external cause? Oh yes, okay, please copy or get this framework down. Okay, so you can copy it in your book. Okay, you can flip it to the last few pages. The last few pages, I believe there are some blank pages for you to copy down. Okay, I'm so sorry. Maybe I should put it like that. Yes. Okay. Alternatively, you can copy at the side, okay, of the page itself. You can copy right at the side down here. The 6 steps. So it's actually kind of disappointing when day in day out you still get the same mistakes. Why? Because you're not taking notes. All right. Okay. So you have to identify and explain what is MEC. So what is MEC here? Right, you got to look out for the third-party cost, okay, that is incurred by others. So you can see here, soil erosion. Okay, so please make sure you cite correctly and how it affects others. See, soil erosion is going to lead to loss of productivity and lead to people deserting. Okay, you can see here, water contamination as well. Okay, that is not involved in the production of olive oil. Right? Okay, so step number 3. Okay, please copy this down. Okay, a lot of students still get this wrong. Okay, so they will use the rational decision making framework MPC and MPB. Okay, this is a slight improvement. Okay, but they still fail to tell me what is MPC and MPB. Okay, so now back to you, Ashley. What is MPC?
Marginal private cost.
All right. So what is the marginal private cost to a producer?
The amount of money that they have to spend to like produce olive oil.
Okay. So I'm just going to do a quick sidetrack. Okay. So let's look at This is lesson 3. I'm just going to use lessons 3 approach, okay, to show you the framework. So it's quite evident that you see this is what I meant. Okay, your MPC and your MPB don't differ a lot. Okay, lesson 3 we are talking about drugs for those who are still who are familiar with that. So we are concerned about monetary and opportunity costs. Okay, whether is it from the producer or consumer perspective. So make sure, okay, you write it down in words. Okay, what is MPC to the producer? Okay, the monetary and opportunity costs to produce 1 additional unit of olive oil. Don't simply just throw MPC equals to MPB. Okay, I'm going to fail you for that. Okay, likewise for MPB, okay, what is an MPB to a producer? An MPB to a producer and MPB to a consumer is different. So now let's look at lesson 3. Lesson 3, where we consider drugs. Okay, we are considering, okay, when you consume an additional unit of drugs, utility satisfaction from consuming an additional unit of drugs. Fine, sure. Okay, but what is MPB to a producer? Okay, what is a benefit to a producer? Okay, the benefit to a producer, anyone knows, please type it out. Okay, before I continue to step 4, step 5, and step 6. Okay. Producer. Okay, a producer will not be concerned about health benefits. So what is a good net? Dylan? Not quite. Okay, half right. Yeah, half right. Okay, you just need to change one word. Zach, not quite. Okay, this is not the correct terms. Okay, so Elijah closer. Okay, but half right. Okay, so okay, for MPB, you want to be concerned about the revenue. Please write this down. Okay, the revenue that you gain from an additional sale of 1 extra unit of olive oil. Okay, profit and revenue, they are not the same. Okay, profit, okay, accounts for cost already. Okay, whereas revenue, okay, has not account for cost. Okay, so for my H2 students, you probably know this better as MC equals to MR. Okay, but you don't need this case, the same. Okay, this is your profit maximizing point. So make sure you use the keywords correctly, okay, for producer. Okay, what is the MPC for producing olive oil? Monetary and opportunity cost incurred for producing an additional unit. Okay, what is the MPB for producing olive oil? Okay, revenue that you gain for selling an additional unit. Why must it be MPC equals to MPB? Why? Okay, so for the consumer perspective, okay, this is a production-based externality, so you got to know which perspective to take. For the consumer perspective, which is not the right one, okay, is to maximize personal welfare. Okay, for firms, okay, this is to maximize profit. Maximize profit is the correct one. Okay, so what is step number 4? Step number 4 is simply getting the diagram out. Please draw the diagram. Okay, for those who don't draw the diagram, same, I'm not going to award you the credit. Okay, so step number 5, okay, is to establish how overproduction arises. Right? Okay, you can see that as a result of what? Of the external costs. Okay, it leads to a divergence between your social costs and your private costs. Right? Okay, and this will lead to an overproduction. Okay, so these are the 2 keywords that I expect to see. Okay, please follow what I'm going to say now. Okay, for those who reinvent the wheel, okay, you will be reinvented in your answer, in your mark allocation as well. Okay, stick to what we've discussed. Okay, state that the presence of the external cause will lead to a divergence and overproduction. And how does it lead to inefficient allocation of resource? Okay, this is exceptionally crucial. Inefficient allocation of resource occurs when you are not consuming or producing at the socially optimal level. Okay, so you're not producing here. So right now, okay, we are producing at QP. So what does it state? Okay, it states that when your marginal social cost exceeds your marginal social benefit, for every additional unit of olive oil produced, okay, the society is going to incur higher society costs as compared to society benefit. So make sure you use marginalist principle here. Marginalist principle. Okay, and tell me, okay, at the production or consumption level, okay, which one is higher, MSC or MSB? And what happens when they're not the same? Then you will have dead weight loss. Okay, so when your marginal social cost exceeds your marginal social benefit, okay, this will lead to inefficient allocation of resource. Is everyone clear about this approach of don't follow closely, really, okay, so I'm really tired of seeing the same mistake day in and day out, so get it fixed. Okay, so now let's see how can we adopt this framework, okay, for C part 1. Now C part 1, okay, what is the difference? Okay, maybe I'll get Zach to try this. Just now you brought in negative externalities of consumption. So would you like to change your answer? Or would you like to stand by?
Maybe I change.
So what would you like to change?
Is it info failure?
Alright, let's try. How does it lead to info failure?
Like,
Maybe net?
I think it's wrong, but I said there's positive externalities from the health benefits.
Okay, so anyone having the same approach of positive externalities? Anyone? So all info failure. So for those, so I'm going to get one of you to address info failure later. Okay, but I just have to check any more positive externalities. Alright, okay, so net, NAS and net. Okay, okay, Ash also positive externalities of consumption. Alright, so we have three each. So net, carry on. Okay, what draws you the conclusion?
The third party would be the family
Mm-hmm.
who benefit from the positive externalities of the people eating like healthier food and more nutritious food. And
Okay,
then
so what kind of benefits will the family members obtain as a arise or as the person consumes healthier food?
that in the future they will pay like lesser hospital fees.
Okay. Okay, so does for those who use positive externality, do you have something similar? Okay, something related to family members incurring lower hospitalization costs or higher productivity or something along the line. Okay, consumption of olive oil results in a more efficient workforce, higher productivity, sure. Okay, so yes, okay, you can consider positive externality. So this framework is exceptionally powerful, right? So I'm just going to show you the alternative. I'm going to use another color. Okay, so you want to define what is positive externality of consumption. You want to identify the marginal external benefit. Make sure it's a third-party benefit to others. Okay, so when we use MPC and MPB, now we are adopting a consumer perspective. Okay, so lesson 3, if you look at the answer key, it works very well. Okay, so lesson 3 was about drugs. Okay, if you look at the third party, look at the step 3 is actually almost the same. All you need to is just to change drugs use to olive oil use. Okay, the MPB is the utility derived from an additional unit of olive oil consumption. Okay, or you can talk about in the extract it mentioned, right? Okay, greater health benefits. See? Greater health benefits to the first person. Okay, but to third person is another benefit. Make sure you can differentiate. Okay, likewise, okay, the MPC is the same. MPC is exactly the same. Monetary and opportunity cost for consuming olive oil. Okay, so the opportunity cost, okay, for those, just now I think Nas briefly mentioned, okay, is vegetable oil, right? Okay, vegetable oil could be what? A cheaper alternative, okay, as compared to olive oil. Okay, so I'm just going to fast forward. Okay, so for consumer, you want to state why is this condition need to be met. Okay, so consumer are not motivated by profit, so this will maximize what? Okay, this will maximize individual welfare. Okay, you will use the same diagram. Okay, and no, not the same diagram. You use a similar diagram, the one on the left. Okay, and you want to state that there is underconsumption. So you can see that the presence of the external benefit, okay, will lead to a divergence between your social benefit and your private benefit. Okay, and this will lead to an underconsumption. So you have to be clear, under or over must state. Okay, and you can use the same approach to illustrate how inefficient allocation of resources arise. So inefficient allocation of resources arise when MSC is not equals to MSB. Right? So if you realize at QP, your marginal social benefit exceeds your marginal social cost. So by consuming an additional unit of olive oil, the society is still going to enjoy a higher benefit as compared to the social cost incurred. Therefore, okay, it is going to be inefficient allocation of resource. Okay, and shade the deadweight loss. So later on, okay, I want you all to revise lesson 3, okay, the C part 1. C part 1 is a very good usage of the 6 steps. Okay, so for those, okay, who systematically get this kind of question wrong, this is your chance to make it right. Okay, so I do hear the other camp of students telling me that there's info failure. Just now only 3 mentioned that positive externality, right? Okay, if I'm not wrong, was Nat, Ashley, and Nas. Okay, so the other 3 is going to tell. I'm going to assume info failure. So, okay, what kind of info failure have you all used? Okay, maybe Elijah, would you like to try?
For me, it's just consumption of olive oil. Like, people may misunderstand that it's less versatile in the terms of like how you can use it compared to other oils, or like some people may consider it more unhealthy than other oils. So like, as a result, there's information failure. Then there's a divergence between MPB and MPB. MPB and MPB perceive, is it?
Right.
Yeah.
So they underestimate the true benefits of olive oil. Is it? Are you trying to say that?
Yeah, correct.
So there are misperception about olive oil. Okay, so olive oil could be way more healthy. Okay, but people don't know the true benefits, right?
Yeah.
All right. So you can also play this card. Okay, so if you play this card, okay, you possibly want to cite from the extract. You can see that people may not know that okay, that additional health benefits to consumption of olive oil, an antioxidant compound. You can say that people may not know that, okay, it can prevent, okay, malign tumors in developing. Okay, so you can also adopt these 6 steps. Okay, so I'm going to put it in orange. So you want to define what is info failure. Okay, you want to identify and explain the unawareness. So in this case, okay, if you want to use the approach in orange, listen carefully. The unawareness that you want to use, okay, must be from the extract, or try your best. Okay, so the example that I used earlier on was what? Okay, consumers, okay, may not be informed, okay, that olive oil, okay, can prevent, okay, dangerous tumors from developing. Okay, then in that case, okay, they will lead to what? Okay, unawareness gap. Okay, you can use the same approach, no worries. Okay, the diagram is slightly different. Okay, the diagram we want to use this one. Okay, page 52, this one. Okay, you can see that as a result of an info gap, this is an unawareness or info gap. Okay, you can also put this. Okay, I'm so sorry. I should include these 2 terms here. Okay, you can see that when you're consuming at your private consumption level, okay, your marginal social benefit exceeds your marginal social cost. So the approach is highly similar, okay, for 4, 5, and 6. Okay, they're in fact the same. Okay, so the slight difference, okay, is to be careful about using MPB perceive. Okay, so the subscript is exceptionally crucial here. Okay, so I stated some of the key difference. Okay, if you want to use info failure, especially step 1 and step 2. Okay, 3, 4, 5, and 6, they are pretty much the same. Just that the divergence here, okay, it is due to info failure, okay, or unawareness. It's not due to externality. Okay, the unawareness will cause your MPB to be perceived to be lower than MPB actual. Is it lower or higher? Let me take a look. Yeah, lower than MPB actual. Lower. Okay, so don't use external benefit here. So the biggest problem, okay, that students often get confused is, okay, they use the approach in orange and in green interchangeably. So these 2 are 2 different causes. So make sure you can separate them. Clear? Alright, okay, so I'm going to give you 5 minutes, okay, to recap lesson 3, okay, and to go for your break. 5 minutes. Okay, the answer key for lesson 3, C part, C part 1. Okay, that is very, very useful. Okay, so I'm going to go for, you guys can go for a break. If you have questions to ask, can stay back and ask me. Okay, later on, okay, we will be doing a time prep for all the short questions. Okay, see you guys in a short while. Lesson 3. Under the LMS, you should see the answer key. So this is how you revise, right? In fact, the answer key for lesson 1 to 4 is already up. Yeah, just let me know if you cannot find the answer key. Okay, if not, okay, this is a pretty good revision. Okay, for C1 it's a very good revision. In fact, lesson 1 and lesson 2 also have lah, yeah. Okay, so look out for the answer key here. And for those revising, make sure you check your own written script. Check what is the difference in your mistake. Right, the rest, when you're ready, please turn on your webcam. We're going to start in a short while. Alright, so I am going to open out 6 breakout rooms. Okay, the time for your practice is 30 minutes. Okay, the questions to approach is the exact same 4 questions that we have discussed earlier on, A1, A2, C1, C2. Okay, so I hope you guys can adopt the correct framework, especially for C1 and C2, okay, and try not to deviate. Okay, so with that, okay, I'm going to open out 6 rooms, 30 minutes. Okay, the timer is on the breakout room itself. If you need my help, please call me. Okay, ask for help and I'll hop into your room. Okay, so with that, okay, the rooms are now open. Please join. Okay, and see you in 30 minutes time. Ashley? Ashley? Okay, right?
Yeah, okay. This one is okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, anything, call me. Thanks. Alright, okay, for the rest, please turn on your webcam. Okay, I hope to wrap up in 5 to 10 minutes time for all the short answer questions. So once you're ready, okay, please get ready to wave to your friend here. Hello. Hello. Just now when I was figuring out with the webcam, hey, the Christmas hat actually went over to the dog. Let's see if I can transfer the hat to the dog. Seems like I can't. Okay, then Merry Christmas everyone. Bye bye. Okay. So are you guys ready? Okay, to wrap up with a green pen? If you have, please wave. Have Okay, great. Alright, so A1, A2, C1, C2. Okay, for the remaining questions, if you like, can attempt that as a homework. That we haven't done it here. Alright, so A1 and A2, let's go through them together. Alright, so there are two let's go through the general trend first. Okay, so everyone, okay, do you all have generally increasing? Okay, I think we discussed that earlier on already, right? Generally increasing, yep. Okay, so for the second mark, you can either state there's a reversal. Okay, I have stated that earlier on. Or there is a rate of change. Okay, so you can state there's a steep increase, okay, between this time period. Was it from 02 to 03 or 02 to 04? Let me take a look. Okay, 02 to 03 is fine. 02 to 04 is also fine. In fact, 02 to 03 is actually more precise. Okay, let's change it to 02 to 03. Okay, steep increase. Okay, if you have calculated, you can put the approximation. Okay, a steep increase of approximately 46.7%, right? Okay, was that the figure that we have obtained earlier on, 46.7? Yeah? Okay. So if you didn't put the number, you can possibly get away, okay, because the data is not presented in numerical form. So whenever you see data is presented to you in numerical form, and then all the more you have to be concerned that there may be a good chance that you need to calculate. Huh? Okay. So any questions for me? Please type it out on the webcam. Sorry, on the chat function. All right. A part 2. Okay. If you have any different interpretation, type it out on the general chat as well. So for the general trend, I actually use a demand factor. Okay. Taste and preference. Okay, you can see that there's a increase in taste and preference due to higher nutrition and health properties. Okay, so this is an Egypt factor. So notice that, okay, you have to use Egypt down here. So this will lead to an increase in demand. Okay, this, if you want to be better, you can state that this will lead to a shortage and an upward pressure on price of olive oil. Okay, so check whether you have the presence of these three keywords. Increase in demand, okay, shortage and upward pressure. Alright, I'm going to go through two approaches. Okay, so if you have used a reversal earlier on, okay, let's say if you use the reversal, so you got to state that, okay, price actually goes down. So price actually goes down as a result of increase in supply or fall in demand. So you can use this. Okay, you can see that in extract 1, okay, there is increase in field productivity from better crops and harvest practice. Okay, do y'all see that? Here. Right, so this is a wet picks factor. Okay, to be more specific, this is a technology factor. Okay, wet picks. Make sure you relate to web pigs, technology. And this will lead to an increase in supply, okay, and a surplus, which results in a downward pressure on price. Okay, so if you want to state the reversal between 05 to 08. So I want you all to tally the format that I've used earlier on. See? And this is the format that I used earlier on. Okay, check whether you've adopted the correct approach. Next, okay, we have rate of change. So if we have brought up rate of change, you can see that, okay, you can bring up a supply factor. You can see in extract 1, I believe, was it extract 1? Okay, there is presence of El Nino, okay, or extreme weather disruption. Okay, so this will further result in a fall in supply. Okay, so El Nino itself, it is I'll say it's weather. Okay, wet peaks. Okay, under weather, do you all agree? Wet peaks, weather, W? Yeah, it's a W factor. Okay, so this will lead to a supply shock, fall in or if you didn't put supply shock, I think it's fine. You can put a decrease in supply, which leads to a shortage and a further upward pressure on price. Okay? Okay, any questions for me? Okay, you have any questions for me, you can list down. Okay, so earlier on, I did not go through any of the factors. I want you to find yourself. Okay, so I just want you all to be extra careful on identifying the correct factor that you have used. Okay, and using the correct simplified PAP process to explain. Okay, the upward or downward pressure on price. Okay, so if you have any questions for me, please type it out. Okay, if not, I'll go to C part 1. So C part 1, I actually use the approach of positive externalities. Like I've said, info failure, I accept. Okay, so all you need to is just to stick to the framework that we have discussed earlier on in orange. Right? Okay, so for those who have used positive externality, this is how you're supposed to use. Okay, so you want to talk about definition. So remember to eliminate producer here. Okay, you don't want producer to occur here. Okay, this is a common mistake that I often see. So check for those students who use the producer down here. Okay, please cross it out. You want to state the third party benefit of consuming olive oil. Okay, as a result. Okay, or rather just now Natalie brought up that family members can benefit. Okay, from what? Okay, just how somebody brought up society can benefit from what? Okay, so generally the overall benefits will be higher productivity. Okay, and I also relate it to what? Okay, lesser strain on hospital and taxpayer resources. Right? So if you're down, with cancer, for instance, then you may add on to the load to the hospital. Okay, and deprive others from a hospital bed. That also accepted. So all I want you guys to find out is whether the 6 steps are actually used. Okay, so this is step number 1. Okay, step number 2. Step number 3. Okay, so you can see that in the free market, consumers will consume up to QP, where MPC equals to MPB to maximize individual welfare. Okay, so tally it, you can see here. Maximize individual welfare. Right, so what is MPC? Okay, so the monetary and opportunity cost of acquiring an additional unit of olive oil. MPB will be the utility and satisfaction for consuming an additional unit of olive oil. Step number 4. Okay, actually step number 4 is the diagram. Make sure you draw properly. Okay, I'm not particularly concerned about whether is it divergence, convergence, parallel, up to you. Right, so make sure you have a clearly labeled diagram. Okay, make sure you label all your y and x axes. Okay, use QP and QS. Okay, if you like, you can state under consumption here. Okay, so you want to state that the presence of the external benefit will lead to a divergence between your social and your private benefit. And at the society level, optimal level, where MSB equals to MSC, referencing from that level, there is an underconsumption. So state the level of underconsumption. Alright, so how inefficient allocation of resource arises? It arises at the private consumption level. When you consume an additional unit of olive oil, the society benefits more than the society cost incurred. So there's inefficient allocation of resource and the dead weight loss as seen in the shaded area. So these 6 steps, they are pretty sound. This is step 5 and step 6. So stick to this, and I can assure you that for all the upcoming externality info failure questions, you're going to get full marks for that. So great. Like I've said, if you have any questions, please type it out. Info failure, you can look at the alternate acceptable point. I'll leave those who use info failure to look at the answer key here on your own, okay, so it's pretty much the same. Okay, like I've said, okay, all the difference is pretty is step 1. Okay, you can see the definition is different. Step 2, okay, you want to state the unawareness. Okay, step 3, okay, the slight difference is using perceived down here. Okay, the rest is the same. Okay, step 5, you can see that the info gap causes the divergence. Okay, it's not the external benefit, so please don't use external benefit here. So these are the 4 areas of difference that you want to use. Okay, so when you're revising this, okay, if you use info failure, okay, make sure you make a mental note, okay, which are the slight adjustment that you need, okay, for this framework. Is everyone good so far? Okay. Okay, so for my H1 students, when this kind of question goes up to 8 marks, okay, then you possibly want to use both. Okay, so the question will be framed like this. Okay, with the aid of diagrams, explain how market failure arises from, okay, from olive oil. They will not tell you consumption or production. Then in that case, you need to use both. It could be like that, Alright, okay, see part 2. Okay, you can illustrate, okay, negative externalities of production. So let's check the 6 steps again. Define. Okay, so this is a production externality. Make sure you omit consumers from the definition. Get rid of that. Step number 2. Okay, identify from the extract the third party cost to others. You can see soil erosion, contamination. Step number 3, rational decision making framework for producers. Okay, so state specifically what is MPB equals to MPC and what is it, how is it relevant to the producer? Okay, maximize producer profit. And what is MPB and MPC to a producer? I will state clearly. Okay, MPC, monetary and opportunity cost for producing an olive oil. MPB, the revenue that you gain from selling an additional unit of olive oil. Okay, step 4 will be the diagram. Okay, this is pretty clear. Okay, ignore this. Okay, this is for part D. Okay, we are not doing part D here. Okay, so you can ignore this arrow. You don't need this. Okay, but for those who are interested in part D or you want to attempt yourself, okay, then you can take a look at the answer key or you can do it yourself. Then you can see why I draw another line. Okay, but this line is not relevant to this question. Okay, that's why I cancel that. Okay, so just draw negative externalities of production. Step 5. Okay, the presence of external costs will lead to a divergence between the social cost and the private cost. Referencing to the socially optimal level, okay, there is an overproduction of QP and QS. So, step number 6, you got to illustrate how inefficient allocation resource arise. It tells you that at the production level QP, your marginal social cost exceeds your marginal social benefit. For every additional unit of olive oil consumed, okay, the society is going to incur a higher cost as compared to the benefit extracted. Okay, therefore, there's an inefficient allocation of resource and a dead weight loss as seen in the shaded area. So I just want you guys to take a quick look or good look again at the 6-step framework, okay, whether you have adhered to the principles. Okay, it shouldn't deviate. Okay, so this is step 6 and step 5 will be here. Yeah. Okay, so like I've said, these kind of questions are fairly popular in case studies, even in essays. Okay, when they ask you to illustrate how negative externality arises, you can use this. Okay, so with this, okay, I hope you guys will be on the high range of probably 12 to 15 marks. Okay, if not, okay, something is very wrong. Okay, and probably you need to see me to correct that. Okay, so with this, I'm going to sign off. Okay, it's already 4 o'clock. So remember to book your mock exam for those who can make it on next Tuesday morning. I've already pushed up the WhatsApp reminder. Okay, and the second one is next Friday there is no class. Okay, so class will be as usual on New Year itself. Okay, which is next Saturday 2 to 4. Okay, so with that, if you have any questions, somebody asking me. in that case, society welfare is MSB equals to MSC. Okay, is society welfare is maximized. Okay, MPB equals to MPC is profit maximization from the producer's perspective. Okay, so if you profit maximize, you're going to maximize at the expense of society because you're going to overproduce. Okay, so society wants lesser to be produced. Okay, I hope I've addressed that. Okay, Elijah, have I addressed your question? Have. Okay. Okay, so with that, if you have any questions for me, please stay back and ask. If not, I wish you all a Merry Christmas. Okay, and I will see you all next week for New Year. All right, thanks. Bye-bye.